Live from New York, it's Saturday night!
Well, actually, it's Sunday afternoon, which I guess isn't a big deal. But then I'm also not in New York, and I'm also live right now. But if I'm making a pre-recorded video, does that still mean I'm live? Or is it then live once I actually make the video live? And then on top of that, if I am not actually in New York, and I'm saying live from New York, does that create a morally questionable dilemma? And then, on top of that, if I say where I actually am, what happens then? You know what I'm saying? I have to be honest. I must be true. What will become of this channel if I can't dedicate myself to that? You know, it's just so many things for me to think about. Like, it's difficult.
Hey everyone, this is D, Movieman, fellow cinephile, popcorn addict, and emerging film critic, coming to you with reliable recaps, reviews, and reactions. And today, I'm coming to you all with a review for the upcoming film, Saturday Night. Co-written and directed by Jason Reitman, and starring Gabriel, LaBelle, Rachel Sennott, Cory Michael Smith, Ella Hunt, Dylan O'Brien, and many, many, many more. Story-wise, the film depicts the shocking, chaotic, but undeniably true story of what happened in the 90 minutes prior to the October 11th, 1975 debut of Saturday Night Live. So, naturally, I'm going to get into our pros. This was really something. But let me just go ahead and start with our director. As I mentioned, this film is co-written and directed by Jason Reitman. Many of you will know him for the films Thank You for Smoking, Juno, Up in the Air, Young Adult, which is one of my personal favorites, and Ghostbusters Afterlife, which of course was a significant one, given that his father, Ivan Reitman, was responsible for the first two Ghostbusters films back in the 80s. There's really something to be said about his vision for the film, and even the concept covering the 90 minutes, not even the day of, but the 90 minutes leading up to the debut of Saturday Night Live. And if you know anything about me, not only am I a huge period piece fan, and I love just jumping back into these past eras and seeing the replication of that, but as I have also mentioned in various reviews, I enjoy seeing behind the curtain in various professions, and in this case we are talking about television, and more specifically a television pilot. And a television pilot for what would become one of the longest running television programs of all time. We're also talking about a series that would go on to air 970 episodes and just began its 50th season on September 28th of this year. Truth really is stranger than fiction, and some of the wildest stories are the truest ones. And I just think that when it comes down to it, just trying to even wrap my head around how this series even came to be, given what we see happen, is just wild to me. I'll give you another example. If you know anything about The Wizard of Oz and the absolute nightmare that film was to make, from production and the different calamities that befell the cast in so many ways, it's a miracle that that film got made. But similar to that, it's wild to think that this is what this series went through just to be aired in the first place. But there's something about that constant chaos and, you know, frantic energy that drives this film and makes it so entertaining, but also like, whew, it gives you a lot of unexpected adrenaline and a lot of unexpected anxiety watching it as well. I mean, you can't help but feel it, but that was something I appreciated. I also like that with the camera work, we get a lot of moments that are almost one take, obviously not fully one take, but we have moments where we are following characters down hallways and we're going from here to there, and we really feel that frantic, chaotic energy all throughout the film. And given what's being depicted, it's very well shot, it's very well executed, and I was totally here for it. It was something that just drew me in immediately. I've said plenty of times that I love an ensemble cast, and this is an ensemble cast. I mean, a little bit of everybody is in this film, but what I also like is that The majority of them are relative unknowns or up-and-comers, young stars who are just beginning to make their mark on the industry, and I love that. You know, I'm always here for that. But there are a couple of heavy hitters here, and I wasn't expecting it. Obviously, I'm not going to give it away, but when they popped up, I was like, oh, okay. Well, all right then. So, yes, obviously, because there are so many various actors here, I just think that I don't want to necessarily single any specific actor out. However, I will say it was really something seeing Cory Michael Smith as Chevy Chase, mainly because I am most familiar with him for his role as Edward Nygma / the Riddler in the series Gotham. Yes, definitely one of the more memorable aspects of that series. But just seeing him go from that to now depicting a very well-known star like Chevy Chase, I just thought that was really something to see. And I would also say the same about Lamorne Morris as Garrett Morris. And no, although they do share a last name, there is no relation. But I did think that in and of itself was really interesting. Although many of you will be familiar with Lamorne because of his role in New Girl, I was actually introduced to him in Barbershop, The Next Cut, as well as Game Night. He was a solid aspect of both, but listen, Game Night, love it so much. And considering that he just won a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a limited or anthology series or movie, yes, a very long title, but still, winning that for the 5th season of Fargo, it is very safe to say that he is on the right track, and this performance is just another example of that. And then jumping over to the cons, I would just say that when it comes down to it, I think this film will require some prior knowledge, or it may be more enhanced by prior knowledge of the series, of its stars, of that particular time period. I won't say it's absolutely 100% necessary, but given that I had the opportunity to watch this with my mom, she absolutely was 100%, on it as far as like, oh, I already know who that is, So it was a complete trip down memory lane for her. Whereas maybe for other people who aren't as familiar, they may kind of get a little lost in the abundance of characters and maybe not understanding the backstories of some of these people or some of these stars, and trying to maybe get a little bit more and understand more about them, because it's not necessarily about their backstories. It's just more so about the part they play in the bigger picture as far as forming this series. And I do think that's something I got a little lost in myself, and I am intrigued to learn more. But as far as this, given that we are only getting the 90 minutes leading up to it, it's kind of like, okay, you'd like to learn more, but it's very limited, of course, in what you do learn. And it's more so about how these different individual pieces and people and actors and talent come together to create something that was very much unprecedented. So I'm going to give Saturday Night a B+. I have to say I was really impressed by this film. It was really something, and I just think, like I said, I am that period piece person, the aficionado, I guess, if you will, and there's just something about seeing those details and just seeing these eras in time replicated that just hits me in a certain way. And so I think just from that standpoint, it's something that's special. However, it is something that makes me want to go back and revisit the series, or if nothing else, watch that first episode, listen to some audiobooks or read some books about, what the full history of the series has been since that first episode. So from that standpoint, I definitely say that this is one absolutely worth watching. Saturday Night will be premiering on October 11th, which is also the 49th anniversary of the show's premiere, which of course is happening during the show's 50th season, which is airing as we speak. You guys feel free to check it out, leave your thoughts below, and let me know what you think. So, once again, this is the Movieman, signing off, and I'll see you at the movie.